Well, that was a saga that happened about a month ago. That's the aftermath now. The protesters are calling for the release of the administrator of that local government area. Actually, Senator Dino Melaye's own very constitution. Well, it did happen that after he had traveled to his hometown, it was alleged that some assailants had attacked his home, firing and, of course, damaging his property. And at the end of the day, accusing fingers were being pointed at the sole administrator of the local government area, Honorable Taufik Issa. Well, it did happen that afterwards, Honorable Issa was picked up by the police and he has been in detention. And so the protesters are saying, come on. I mean, this man has not been charged to court for anything. It's just an allegation. And now you're keeping him behind bars for nothing. It's either you arraign him properly or let him go. So it appears the issue is about letting the man go. But for the issue of the day, well, we are looking at the problem. Well, it's not a problem per se. It is the absence of the president and the challenge of leadership. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari is away in London for a medical checkup, and he has already informed Nigerians and the Senate particularly that the length of his absence will be determined by his doctors. And what that means is that depending on what his doctors say his condition is, he will be away for, well, God knows how long. But apparently his absence for a second time is actually making a lot of people uncomfortable, whether in the National Assembly and, of course, the generality of Nigerians. Perhaps some are even rethinking a repeat of the Yar'Adua-Jonathan scenario. Hopefully, the factors are completely different. But then, when we now come to the issue of the letter transmitted to the Senate, detailing the president's absence and, of course, who is going to be in charge. Well, yesterday, the matter was discussed on the floor of the Senate, and one of the members of the upper house, Senator Mao Ohabunwa, PDP Abia State, did raise a point of order, and it was countered by the Senate Majority Leader, Ahmed Lawan. Maybe we'll take a listen to both senators on this matter.
Mr. President, I don't think in our constitution we have anything like coordinating president or coordinating vice president. It's either you are vice president or you are acting president. And any letter should be unambiguous and very clear. So I'm saying that this letter really does not convey anything, because coordinating has no space or any place in our constitution. It's either you tell us, and we've been having letters like this, you tell us he's the acting president in your absence so that we know who to deal with as a Senate.
President Muhammadu Buhari has done what the Constitution requires him to do, and I urge the Senate not to go ahead to discuss this because it's not an issue.
Well, we also had the Senate President responding to both men, but let's take a look at the issues raised in Senator Mao Ohabunwa's argument. Well, what he wanted was perhaps for the President to have transmitted a letter stating specifically that the Vice President will be acting on his behalf while he is away. However, the text of the letter read, he will be coordinating the affairs of the nation in the president's absence. So it's the matter of the use of the word coordinating instead of acting that perhaps is raising all that dust. However, the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Ahmed Lawan, countered it by saying, look, there is no issue here. Whether it's acting, whether it's coordinating, there is no leadership vacuum in the president's absence. The president is away, the vice president is in charge. That's the end of the matter. But then the Senate president also now had the final say on that argument.
In compliance with Section 145(1) of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, I wish to inform the distinguished Senate that I will be away for a scheduled medical follow-up with my doctors in London. The length of my stay will be determined by the doctor's advice. While I'm away, the Vice President will coordinate the activities of the government. Please accept, distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
Well, we just took a step back so that we could get a clear perspective on the letter that was transmitted to the Senate by the President and why it had to generate that particular argument. So that was the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, reading the President's letter to the Senate, saying that the Vice President will be coordinating matters while he is away on a medical vacation. Well, not medical vacation this time around, what he calls a follow-up medical check-up or a medical follow-up with his doctors in London. So it is not a vacation, but definitely he's not in the country at the moment, and we will have the Vice President coordinating the affairs. Well, Senator Mao Ohabunwa probably saw that there was something not right with the use of that word, and so he raised that objection. But he was ruled out of order by the Senate President. Well, that is what we will be taking a look at today on the program, and we are expecting in our Abuja studio a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Paul Ananaba, who will be giving us the constitutional interpretation of the implications of the President's absence and whether the use of the word coordinating was appropriate or fitted the description of what the Constitution requires. When the Vice President has to act in the place of the President, we'll also be taking a look at, well, the challenge of leadership when issues like these arise. We've had that experience before, and this time around, something like that is happening, but a completely different context altogether. It's all in a bid to ensure that the body politic is not heated up. Well, we just saw the silent film of the Senate President. Of course, that's when he ruled Senator Mao Ohabunwa out of order. But at this moment, we have our guest in the Abuja studio joining us in a moment. For now, we'll take a moment, and when we return, Paul Ananaba, senior advocate of Nigeria, joins us in our Abuja studio on Politics Today. Stay with us.